Welcome back to the Cozy Cottage Homestead on Walkie Talkie on Wednesday. This is what I done yesterday. I cleaned out the asparagus bed, so I'll have to come back behind it and fertilize it with the rabbit manure and mulch it really good to keep the weeds out, because asparagus do not like weeds. But this fall we should have a really good asparagus crop. Right there is the sweet potatoes. I planted them in the tater bin, which would be the regular potatoes. I tried the sweet potatoes just to see how it would do. It looks really pretty growing out of the potato tub, which is a drum from either a washing machine or a dryer. I think that's a dryer drum. I've showed it before in another video. So by trial and error, I learned that whenever the sweet potatoes hit the ground, they root, so it makes me more sweet potato slips for a fall garden. So I started those early enough to where they're about ready to be producing. Then I can cut the slips off that's already touched the ground and rooted and start them all over again. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I gave all the grass and the weeds that grew up in the bed to the goats. They're all having a little evening snack, which is wonderful. Nothing goes to waste. You have farm animals, you clean out your gardens or your beds. They're waiting for a snack. They're happy to eat all of the cuttings from your garden and the weeds and the grass. Today I want to talk about skills. Do you have the skills that you need to survive? Lots of people are new to homesteading, have seen lots of YouTube channels and read lots of books and stuff. But wondering if you actually have ever practiced those skills. You know, like lots of people are raising rabbits and chickens and goats, but have you actually milked your goat? Have you gone through the process of breeding and kidding and, you know, the whole entire process? Do you know what to do if something doesn't go right with the birth? Do you know how to care for that animal? Do you have those skills? The same thing with raising chickens and ducks and geese and turkeys, rabbits. It's fun, pretty easy to raise all of those animals, but do you know how to process them when it comes time to process them? It's not very difficult. There are a couple different procedures and steps that you have to take, but my question is, hello, how are y'all doing? Getting close to feed time, huh? But do you actually have the skills to process your birds, your chickens, and your rabbits? You know, the same thing with rabbits. Lots of people have gotten, in the last couple of years, have started raising the rabbits. But do you know how to butcher the rabbit? Do you know all the steps that it takes to process it? Do you know how to butcher it to where you can separate the quarters and the breast and the back straps and all that? Same thing with hunting. If you have skills to hunt, do you know how to hunt, fish, trap? You know, those are skills that used to be passed down generation to generation. People would take their children hunting and camping and fishing and teach the boys and the girls, because I was one of them, how to trap. And to me, trapping is just like hunting. It's very frugal. For the price of a bullet, if you're a good shot, you could have a deer or a wild hog or whatever kind of large game is in your area. For us, it's the largest is the deer and the wild hogs. And if you were very crafty and you had some really good books, you could make you some traps, and then it would be almost free to hunt for your meat. But have you practiced those skills? You know, now it's almost fall, so have you thought about taking your children camping and cooking over an open fire, catching some fish in the creek or the river or the lake? Have you taught your children how to skin out that fish and clean it and fillet it? And has mom or dad taught them how to batter it and fry it, or wrap it in foil and cook it in some coals in a fire? I'm just wondering about the skills. Is there any skills that we need to practice on that may be a little rusty? Maybe some of us has done a lot of that when we were younger. I feel like there's a generational gap there. Lots of people had gotten away from it. And there's lots of teens to 20-year-olds and even a little older. My son just made 28, but he knows all of that. He was raised in the country. But lots of young people are getting interested in homesteading. What's keeping you from practicing those skills? Well, the only way you're going to know if you can do it or if you have the heart to do it because you know you're providing for your family is to process your own animals. Or are you one of those big-time hunters that go for guide hunting and trophy hunting? That's not important to me. What's important to me is we have a deer to put in our freezer or a hog to put in our freezer. And we're very frugal because we also come home with the meat and butcher it and process it ourselves and make our own cuts of everything. Do you know how to cut roast and steaks and stew meat? Do you know how to mix it up to make sausage? Do you know how to do all those things? Lots of people think you just go to the grocery store and that's where you get stuff from. But have you milked your goat? Do you know how to get the milk? Do you know how to safely process the milk and sanitize all of your equipment that you use for milking your goat? I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there. I feel like lots of people are interested in homesteading and they find it very interesting, but I don't know if they realize that those are actual skills that take lots of hard work and determination. And I believe in the near future, I don't know, I'm not psychic, I'm not wearing a foil hat, that those skills are going to come back into play and they're going to be very, very necessary for our survival. So I think it's just time for people to start waking up and thinking about it and actually practicing skills that can save your life. Skills are great to have and to read and to know, but unless you've actually practiced those skills and you're doing those skills, it's not really going to do you any good if you just think, okay, whenever I retire or when I get 50 or when I get 60, then we're going to butcher that first chicken or we're going to butcher that first rabbit or we're going to go hunt and kill us a deer. Are you going to know what to do with it? Are you going to be okay with it? Are you going to be able to process it to where it provides food for your family, which is going to be very important to your survival? Are you ready to do those things? Are you practicing those skills? I think it's important that people practice, Take your children camping, take your children hunting, fishing. It's fun learning those skills with your children, and it's good to teach them to your children. A lot of people are growing older, and we have that knowledge, and maybe we've been busy working and raising our children and have forgotten some of those skills. And I think it's important for the older people to teach the younger people some of those skills that may have been forgotten. Well, I didn't want to do a very long walkie-talkie today. Yesterday I trimmed all of the animals' wings. We had a few chickens that would jump up on the gate and say hello, talk to me, and then they would hop down and come run to my feet. So since they're free range, it was time to trim some of their wings. So that was a bit of a job. We do have quite a flock. Not as many as some people, but pretty good bit for us. So the turkeys were not happy with me. The geese didn't mind. The chickens didn't mind. I didn't do the Indian runners because they're hard to catch. Everybody else was pretty easy to trim. It just keeps them safe from the predators at night. We do lock them all up in their little chicken coops at night to keep them safe. But if they hop out during the day, if I'm not home or if I'm busy and I'm not really realizing what's going on, we do have coyotes and fox and raccoons come out at night. But if they were to hop outside of that fence, something could possibly get them. So I don't want them to start getting in the habit of jumping out. So it was time to trim their wings, and that pretty much stops them from being able to do that. But that's about all for today. I hope everyone's doing good and learning some new skills and practicing those skills. And make it fun for you and your family. Don't make it a chore. Don't make it hard. Make it exciting and fun and make the best of it. And your children will be happy to learn it. And it makes it gives them more of an idea of where their food comes from, to where they're not just thinking they can just go to town. It makes them respect food and the animals and what they provide for you and for the family. I think all children need to learn where chicken actually comes from and where eggs come from. And I think a lot of people just have forgotten about sharing those things. I know a lot of you here are older and wiser and probably more rugged and rustic than I am, and know even probably more than I do, but I know there's a lot of young people that's really getting into homesteading. So I just want to encourage them to start practicing those skills. And we all can practice as well. Never too old to learn something new. I think that's the most wonderful thing about life, is you just keep learning new skills and applying those to your life and find ways to do things to where it's not a chore and to where it's actually something that you enjoy. So farewell, homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead.